Good evening, everybody. My name is Ian Blackburn, and thank you for joining me for Zoom into Wine every Wednesday night. We get some great folks together to talk about wine, different levels, different grape varieties, different countries, different places. Zoom lets us get everybody together. Oceans may divide us, but wine brings us back together again. And that's what we do here at Zoom into Wine. I love talking wine with some good folks, and in our little weekly Zooms every Wednesday, 7 o'clock. We're able to get a really fun group together and maybe not get too serious sometimes. We are going to taste some little treasures that we found from our website, some nice values. They are all under $20, and we're going to see how they're doing as we taste across the lineup. I'm not telling you you have to love these wines. Some of you will like some of them very much. Some of you may not. And sometimes I buy a wine that was presented to me in a certain place and time, and a year later, how is that wine going to make me feel? At the lower end price, the wines can change and move around a lot too. So I get to update my knowledge, just kind of learn from you guys, see what you guys are liking. I love it if you use that little chat box and throw down some comments, maybe even some reviews of the wines. But you're also welcome just to speak right up. We're all live. We're all talking wine together. We got a nice audience tonight. Pretty big for a little Wednesday gathering. So good to see some of you again. Thank you, Joel, for joining us. Gary and Sandra, Setsuko, Kathy, Jason and Julie, Eric, my buddy, Josh, good to see you, my man. Ray Marie, Dodgers 5 in a row. Gotta like that. Michelle Smith, hi. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us. What is Gator? Is that your name, Gator? Is that a nickname, Gator, or is that an abbreviation?
No, that's actually it's been that way for several years. We've been following you. So
Oh yeah, it's always said Gator.
yes,
Tell
and
me,
and Michelle. I can't. Yeah, my wife Michelle. Sorry.
hi Michelle.
Hi.
Gator and Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I've never met a Gator before. All right, we got some fun wines to taste tonight. Let's go. Wine number one. Now, you were delivered little tasting kits. A couple of emails went out telling you what the wines are and the order that they're in. I'm going to take off my little background so that the bottle doesn't get all blurry. Let's see, virtual background, boom, goodbye. There's our little Zoom room. Buddy's turned sideways tonight. All right. So we're going to start off in Sicily with our little Grillo. This is a fun wine. I'm going to pull up the slideshow and take you in there. Had a really hard time getting on Facebook tonight, so I'm zooming on my Facebook page, and those that tune in. I do this every week that are watching on my Facebook page, but usually I put it on my Zoom into Wine page, but I couldn't get on it because the good folks at Zoom upgraded their technology and nothing is working anymore. I don't know if you guys have done that download, but I would avoid it. It's getting really tricky. Here is our slideshow for this evening. And away we go. The Grillo, Sicily. Got to take a group there last April. Really a beautiful spot. We went to the Planeta resort. We stayed there for a couple of days. Nice, central, close to the beach. Of course, it's an island. Almost everything is pretty close to the beach. But we traveled around and tasted different grape varieties. Sicily is a very robust place to grow grapes, and they do a lot of things very well. It's actually a little bigger than you might think. And you cover a lot of ground, and there's a lot of different areas. But if you look super close, I can't zoom it in any closer on the slideshow, but there's a little part over here called Marsala. And there's a number of grape varieties that were planted on Sicily years ago to be part of what was harvested to make Marsala, Grillo being one of those grape varieties. And Planeta is a brand led by a great family that really knows how to respond to the needs of the marketplace. They make some really dynamic, and some of the wines even get a little pricey. They have some very high-end old blocks, single vineyards. That's not what this wine is about. This wine is about creating something that can be considered a great value, a daily drinker, a nice Italian representative. Grillo is a grape variety that can take on some different dimension depending on the type of production, but it does tend to be kind of a value-oriented grape variety. But I really like some of the better examples in a big and better way. So we went to Planeta. We had this really nice tasting experience. We had some oysters down by the water, and Grillo was certainly one of the grape varieties that we tasted. I get back here and I've talked to my importers, my salespeople. They bring me different options, and the Planeta folks had this amazing deal here on the Grillo. So we're passing it on to you. 90 points in the wine enthusiast. The nose of this Grillo opens with vanilla and cedar, turning into dense fruit aromas of cooked apples and lemon curd. The palate sings with mixed citrus and lemon to orange and grapefruit. Then yellow and green apples, and finally crushed stones with grass and herbs arriving on the finish. I also see notes up here talking about a little bit of white peach, which I'm picking up a good amount of at this phase. You get a little bit of a sun-drenched character. I might even come across as a little bit sunburnt, because if you are left unprotected on the island of Sicily, you will tan up like nothing else. This is a place that has no problem ripening any type of fruits. It's a citrus haven. Crops are what this island can really do well. It's a supplier of fruits and vegetables to many parts of Italy and the greater Mediterranean. So you can get some pretty ripe and aggressive smells and aromas. I think anytime we're in Italy too, you tend to smell the wine and you think almost immediately Italian, with a kind of some of the herbs and spices and olive type of aromas that are always there as well. And you can't get by those when you smell this wine. The mouth has got pretty good richness. The nose, this wine is under a Stelvin closure, and I do think I can smell just a little bit of a reduction on the nose to be critical. I think that would go away if it wasn't under Stelvin. These were poured on Monday, so that doesn't really blow off, but it's not terrible. It doesn't below it for me. And some wines, when they're overly reduced, I can't handle it. There's just a little kiss of it here. But at this price point, I said, you know what, that is not going to dissuade me. And I think that there's really good feel, weight, concentration on the palate here. And this bottle of wine is quite a deal. If you've never been to Sicily, it's a very easy place to visit. The dollar goes a long way. Of course, the TV show that came out, what was it, White Lotus, loaded up Sicily with adventurous people at this crazy time, so it could get a little more expensive than it was. When we were there, the entire island was sold out because of the TV show. It's been about a year and a half, and I'm thinking things might be mellowing out, but I'm not quite sure. $11.95 for the Grillo. And so it's really built to over deliver. I think they wanted this wine to be 16 to 20 bucks. Didn't quite get there. And so they're finding some, wine by the glass type of opportunities with this wine. 90 points, 11.95. I'll let you decide how that treats you. I think it's a pretty good little find, and doesn't taste manipulated at all. Get a little bit of reduction on the nose there, but I think it's quite excusable. And you're going to have a nine to $10 Italian wine with a cork in it might be worse, because the quality of the cork you're going to use in a $9 or $10 bottle of wine is not going to be very good. So here, at least you got something very dependable and the Planeta name on it as well. And we have a good amount of this wine. It was a very aggressive price point. And so I hope you guys enjoy that. The discount code that you're using tonight will work on this wine as well. So you save an additional 10% as a Zoomer with us tonight. When you sign up for our Zooms every Wednesday, you get a Zoom code to be able to use on any wine on the store. So take advantage of that. Just remember, we don't stack the discounts. Some people say, oh, I got a 10% tonight. I got a 10% last week. I want 20%. No, it doesn't work that way. Us poor wine people, we barely get to mark the wines up as it is. All right, we're going to move into our wine number 2, and kind of a sneaky wine. Sneaky because this isn't a name I thought a lot of people would recognize, but wow, we sell a lot of this wine, and we sell it both the rosé and the red. This is from Luberon in the southern Rhône part of France. And this rosé and the red are both really good and really good sellers. And I'm very fortunate that I don't see a lot of this wine being sold anywhere on the West Coast. So I carry them both with good confidence, good importer bringing it in, and we have good supply. Again, we're in Luberon, which is see if I can find it here on the map. Oh yeah, there you go. Côte de Luberon right there in the pink, the bottom of the map, underneath the Côte de Ventoux, very near Orange, and places like Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Avignon. That's where we're talking. So Luberon over delivers on value. They are now calling these wines Luberon. They used to maybe call this Côte de Rhône instead of Côte de Luberon, but everyone's trying to make their place mean something, and it gives it a little more worth. And when you batch it into a Côte de Rhône, you don't get paid very much. So they want to promote their place a little bit more, and this place does a good job of it. Established in 1638. Always love that. This is just gorgeous. Look at this property, surrounded by forest, vineyards, a lot of water, moved it through there through the Rhône River, creating some really drastic topsoils. The Rosé has a smooth and complex nose that mixes many aromas, all very different, but also undeniably complementary. Exotic fruits, small red berries, and a finish of herbal notes of the provincial countryside. The palate is generous, frank, uncompromising. Its intensity is increasing to an infinite length. Well, that's quite a poetic description by their marketing department. We're talking about Grenache, Syrah, Cinsault, Mourvèdre. That's very common red varietal blend in the southern part of the Rhône. If you've never tried these Fontenille wines, check out the red as well. Eric, I know you're a big Rhône lover. I think you'd really love this producer, and maybe you've seen it before. But we're at 1695 for this rosé. There are constant little movements amongst my rosé inventories, but this one stays pretty consistent. A good importer, very steady supply. Rosé's definitely been trending off from prior years, and that's been a trend for past, since the pandemic has ended. We all drank rosé all day, every day during the pandemic. So now we're putting it kind of back into its place, and things are taking their natural fall. This wine probably was more expensive 5 years ago. In fact, rosé prices have fallen pretty hard, and so these wines have to work a little bit harder. Great color, great package, by the way. Really nice upscale package bottle. Everything's in the right order here. The nose is super, super sexy, restrained. I don't know how much alcohol, but I think we're in the 14-ish range. 13.9. I just think it's exactly what you would hope for. I don't know how you could expect it to be any better. This wine just delivers. Solid, great price. It's nowhere. Can't find it anywhere. I mean, there's a few places that have it, but it's not like it's floor stacked in every store. I carry a good amount of it, and when I run out, I get more. And I'll carry this wine consistently because it sells. And I sell this wine all over the place. And a lot of people buy it 10 and 12, bottles at a time. Maybe they'll even assort some reds with their rosé, and that's all they're coming into my store and getting. This is the wine that they were looking for. A lot of people traveled to the south of France, found this bottle, look for it. I've got it. I'm feel fortunate to carry this wine. I think for the price, it is a keeper, and I love everything about it, from the packaging to the taste, the nose. Done. I see some chat activity. Thank you, guys. Eric, I'm glad you like that. Great balance and finish. Totally agree. And again, 10% off on that with that code. So, what's that? That's like 15.50-ish a bottle. So, and if anybody that buys 12 bottles on our site, you always get the 10% discount anyway. But on the Zoom tonight, you get it on bottle one. So take advantage of it. Thank you, Sandra. Glad you like the nose. Josh, thank you. I agree. The little floral kiss there. I think if it were from Provence, it wouldn't have some of the heft which I think plays really well in this wine. Some of the Provence rosés, good and bad, are pretty skinny, pretty lean, pretty zzz, and that can be fun too. But I think this one has really, this is a one you can squeeze and hold on to a little bit. Excellent, excellent. Lots of good comments, guys. Thank you for doing that. Makes my job easier. I know you're out there. And if you hate it, you can say something too. That's what's great about this program. I'm not here to, it's not an infomercial. I want to hear your reactions. So if good and bad. One of the activities that we have coming up, a little commercial here after just a little bit of wine to get me relaxed, and hopefully you too, is next week's Zoom is our focus on Argentina. And we have got a killer lineup of wines. Check it out at Zoom Into Wine or go to Learn About Wine, because this is a heroes event and we spend a little bit more time and energy producing this. Little touches, more information on the jars, a little bit more texture, conversations, some interviews, things like that. That's what the heroes events, we spend a little bit more time producing those. Next week will be sensational. The week after, we're going to taste a whole bunch of new wines that have just arrived in from Napa, talking about the future of Napa Valley through some of these wines, some of the important producers. Check out the wine list. I think you'll be impressed with that new lineup of wines coming in from Napa. I've got a couple more Zooms to tell you about, but let's taste our third wine before we do another round of that. Wine number 3. This is a wine I find fascinating. I make, my family and I make Zinfandel, and I make it amongst people that make Chardonnay, Pinot, Cab. We're in Sonoma. And man, Pinot Noir is, Zinfandel is a hard wine to make, tastes good. Pinot Noir is just a hard wine to make. I mean, the grape variety is very fickle, and if you've got any decent quality land, your crop value really pushes you to charge 30, 40, 50 and up dollars to make something delicious in Pinot Noir land. You got to slow the production down. Maybe you're using some whole berry, whole cluster type of winemaking. Takes some time. This is a brand called BloodRoot, and they make their wine in Sonoma. This bottling is coastal California, so this is more likely a blend of Northern and Southern California. It does say North Coast on the back, so it's a little confusing because on the front label saying coastal California, but the back says North Coast. So that's very specific. That's Mendocino, Sonoma, and Lake counties and Napa, that whole area up there. That is the North Coast. But this is a brand that's been around for a couple of years and really kind of came in with looks almost like a handwritten label. You're like, all right, that's kind of cool. And you give it a try and you're like, that's not bad for the price. And I drink a good amount of this wine myself because I go to a number of Dodger games, and the Philippe's or Felipe's. Does anybody know? Somebody asked me today, is it Philippe's or Felipe's?
We always called it Philippe's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right downtown, right underneath the Dodger ballpark, line out the door, go there for a French dip, and BloodRoot Pinot Noir is $8 a glass.
Wow.
The French dips $12.95, and they carve it for you right in front of you in these outfits that are like right from the 1930s, 40s, 50s. It's one of the oldest restaurants in LA.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And
It's an adventure. It's an adventure.
they have a great wine list, Ian, considering it's, that kind of restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they have wine and they literally, there's been articles written about the owners. They tell you, listen, my parents did very well. We have plenty of money. They're just trying to keep the business growing and the employees employed. And so I go there and I have a glass of wine and a Philippe sandwich. And then I walk to the park from there. It's about a mile, and it's pretty easy to do. It's actually easier to get back because it's downhill. But I think the Pinot, if you guys have shopped around Pinot Noirs that are, 12, 15, $18, they typically really disappoint. They don't have the structure, the depth, the color, concentration that this one has. Nothing harsh, nothing off, nothing non-varietal. I think it really does a good job of staying Pinot Noir. It's easy to drink. It doesn't need time, yet it's not also saying drink me in 5 minutes because I'm about to pass away. It's got a really good, smooth, dependable, and I'm really kind of digging the fact that they work this hard to make something taste this good for the price. Our price, I'm pretty sure we're all pretty close together. There's the owners, hardworking guy, gal, just making really good wine. Um, they've gotten some great scores. The press is out there. And it's described here: tea, earth, stone, herb tones, core of cranberry and rhubarb, Mendocino, Sonoma County. Here's their tasting room. Nice casual spot with some umbrellas. $20. So I think it does a pretty good job. I like the lamb dip. I get it wet and you cover it in that spicy as hell mustard that they serve there. Delicious, guys. Best $12.95 you've ever spent. And by the way, the Pinot is $8. So now you're up to $21, but who's counting? All right. That was wine number 3. And now we're going to move to Italy. Oh, that was the other goal of our program tonight. So I could have just done the best values and kept it in Spain. Could have done the best values and kept it in Italy, California, kind of going all over the place, just kind of moving around the store, showing some really fun things. This grape variety that we're about to taste, wine number 4, is always like, how come we don't think of Dolcetto a little bit more often? And I've tasted some wonderful domestic Dolcetto from California, Santa Barbara, even really delicious. My friend Steve Clifton is making one up in Santa Barbara, just fantastic stuff. But here today, we have got Fratelli Serio and Battista Borgogno. This is the Dolcetto di Alba. So Alba is the town in Piedmont. The grape variety is Dolcetto. I'm taking a group to Piedmont in the first week of December. We're going white truffle hunting. We're going to have the dogs. We're going to basically be tasting a lot of Nebbiolo, Barolo. But this is one of the other grapes from Piedmont. And a lot of producers that make a Barolo also make a Barbera, and they also make a Dolcetto. And I think of this as kind of like the black sheep of the family. It's like, do we drink? Oh, we're going to drink something fresh. Okay, let's drink Barbera because the Barolo's not ready yet. Oh, it's special night. Let's drink a Barolo. And so they kind of squeeze out the third wine in the family, the Dolcetto. And Dolcetto just doesn't get a lot of love. So we're going to give it some love tonight. This is the 2020. Considered one of the oldest estates in Piedmont. And their estate is from Canubi. In the town of Canubi, it's Canubi Hill. $120 as of 2017. This is 20, so we're looking at 128 years, 27 right now. Here's our cantina. The wine, Dolcetto always has this really fragrant nose. Red fruits like strawberry, kind of floral. The body tends to be kind of aggressively sharp and vigorous and alive and high acid, promoting a fresh mouthfeel. I think some people think the wine is very light sometimes, but with food, it actually kind of kicks into another gear and gives you quite a bit of structure to work with. This is a look at the Canubi Hill. And any vineyard has better spots and better points on it. And often what happens is they'll take the places where the sun isn't the best, or the shade, the slope, the angle, exposition is what we would call it, maybe suffers a little bit, and that's where they're going to plant your Barbera and your Dolcetto. Where the hard to grow Nebbiolo doesn't thrive, they'll plant the other grape varieties. This wine is supposed to be about $20, but every year these importers come in with their fresh Dolcetto, and it just doesn't move through the system. And here comes the next vintage, so let's discount it. And I'm selling the last bottles we have at $12.95. I just got this wine not too long ago, but it was the 2020, and they gave it to me at a very good price. So you get the benefit of their challenges. I'm sure that the 22 is about here. They're probably selling the 21 and they had to take a position on the 22. Let's get rid of the 2020. Little tart cranberry, plum skin, sour cherry. Again, pretty sharp and good acidity, like an Italian wine would. Kind of cuts right through things. Easy to drink and enjoy. I like it also because it's a nice warm weather red. I've got mine chilled down pretty good, and I like it pretty cool. Is this the best Dolcetto I've ever had? No, but $12.95. It's a great value, be able to pass on. And I think it's it's a brand that actually has quite a good reputation, and they sell some pretty expensive wines as a family. So you're getting a really nice branded, well thought of Italian producer as well. Particular deal there. Not a lot of this wine left, by the way. Before I go into wine number 5, let me just take another quick cut into the world of Zoom into wine, because we realized today, as we've been working really hard on some big events that we do here in Los Angeles. Last week was our Stars of Pinot, which went beautifully, and we worked really hard on it, but it also kind of took us off our feet for a number of weeks. And so as we're going through the wines, I'm like, hey, we don't even have a price yet on the great wines of Italy. Why is that? And I look at it, because I never gave them any wines. So we now have the wines and the prices for our Zooms in September. We've got a number of things here. Mega Wines of Bordeaux is coming up. Let me take this in order. Argentina, the 31st, that's next week. Then it's Napa, August 7th. Then Italian wines, all the wines are there. Great Wines of Italy, little Rhône Valley Treasures on the 28th. Feel like I'm missing a week. Where's the 21st? What is the 21st? Why isn't there a Zoom on the 21st? Let me see. Oh, it's over here. It's on the wrong spot on my screen. That's why. I'll have to talk to the designer, make sure the 21st gets over here before the 28th. But hopefully you'll follow me. Mega Wines of Bordeaux on the 21st, and then the 28th is Rhône. And then by tomorrow, we'll have the September Zooms up here, and then we'll get October taken care of. And in short time, we'll have the entire rest of the year up on the screen. Every Wednesday that we're in town, I used to do it even when I wasn't in town, and I was destroying my travel doing that. So I'm no longer taking my little tasting kits with me when I travel across the globe with our groups. And we do have a couple of vacation trips coming up in October and in December. So we move into wine number 5, going out of Italy and into Portugal. And we have Zoomed many times with the importer of this particular producer, Santos e Seixo. This is Duquesa Maria Superior Tinto Red from the Alentejano, where we took a group a couple of years ago now in November. Can't believe that's been a couple of years. But the Alentejano, right outside of Lisbon, really old part of Europe. Evora, which was a Roman town, is a great place where you could stay and visit the Alentejano. This small producer, and there's a number of them in the Alentejano, that make some really nice traditional wines of place. And you may not have heard of the brands before, but they are trying to build a reputation, get a footprint into America. And this importer we work with, she's super. And she brings in some really nice small family producers, and this is one of them. The grape varieties, Aragonese, Alicante Boucher, Touriga Nacional, and Trechadera, or Trincadera. That's how I think how you pronounce that, Trincadera. So very traditional Alentejo blend. Alicante Boucher is particularly interesting, and I think this wine does a great job of keeping it very authentic, very Portuguese authentic, not trying to make a New World wine, make something that's, very much the smell of the land, which you see in the background there. and it looks just like that. It's just hills covered with grapes and trellises, and it goes on for miles and miles and miles. $12.95. When we rate wines, it's got a 90-point score. We use a 100-point program, starting off with color, 15 points for color. This one actually seems like it's got pretty dark, characteristics. There is some browning, especially now. I probably reviewed this wine a while back. The importer brought me the 17, and I think she's still selling me the 17 3 years later. The nose is even better now, but color, I gave it 13.5 when I reviewed it out of 15. Aroma, 22.5 out of 25 points. It's got a fantastic kind of baked red fruit. I think of Portugal, high temperatures, very arid, very dry, almost desert-like conditions out there in the hills. Fantastic for growing certain things, including grapes. Lots of different crops out there. So 22.5 on the aroma, 22 for body, and overall 32. So 90 points, very enjoyable. And I think at its price point, it's a very hardworking wine. I think I even like it better today. Good fruit, good balance, nice texture, good acidity, good length. Not trying to be too heavy and too dynamic there. Does a really good job. Yeah, I agree. It does beg for some food, and that's what they make their wines for sure. Excelente. Questions, comments? How you guys doing? I think last time I saw you guys, we were basically just getting ready for the big Stars of Pinot event, and we ended up having about 500 people visiting us last Thursday. It was wonderful, and we uh, raised some good money for the charity, um, for the effort. We thought the event went beautifully. We had a great trade audience come and join us, and a really nice consumer. And that was the biggest event we've tried to do since the pandemic. Um, 39 wineries and a bunch of visitors. It was great, but it also almost destroyed us. It just takes its toll on our bodies, and I threw my back out and been taking pain pills for 3 days to get my back in place. So it's been a little tough afterwards, but that's the life of an event producer. Getting some interesting comments. Some of you like this wine more than others. That's okay. Michelle, great with salumi and sharp cheese, like that. Yeah. So Ray Marie, a kind of port-like wine note. That's pretty true. Some, we are in Portugal, but port wines are made a little bit further to the north, but definitely, very similar climatic kind of influence there. Just the way those hills, those terraces, the sun shines. Portugal is a fantastic place to grow dark skin, thick skin grape varieties. Yeah, it's a not the most rich and lengthy wine. I'm getting some comments about how it falls off pretty quickly. That's fair. I think for $12.95, it's not supposed to be a big powerhouse, and I think that delivers on what it's supposed to be. I think minerality is really kind of taking over the wine after you taste it. You can feel that pop from the rocks and the bedrock right behind it coming right through. So it's not powerful at all. All right, gang. We're moving along, and we finish with a kind of a perennial favorite around here, a little wine that could. And need to get us back in our PowerPoint. There it is. We're going to go back up to Columbia Valley, Washington. So we've tasted from the Rhône, from California with a Pinot, from an island with Grillo. We did some Italian Dolcetta, some Portuguese red, and now we're finishing in Washington with another great value. And this is almost always a big time favorite. Immediately after each time I've tasted this wine, we sell out of pretty significant drop on this wine. So it goes through. So I call the winery. It takes me 10 days to get the wine from these guys. And then I need to wait a year before I show it again because it sits there. Nobody's looking for this wine. It's just not distributed. Doesn't have a lot of points of reference. So maybe it's price point. People are like, how good could it be? Well, let's find out. Jay Bookwalter, big time passionate writer, involved in the publishing world. Every wine's got a kind of a little bit of a author theme to it. This is notebook red, something a little bit more casual. We're looking right up into the Walla Walla, right on the border with Oregon. And if you make the wine in Washington, you can call it Washington wine. If you make the wine in Oregon, you can call it Oregon wine. It's one of those kind of those spots that up there. The grape growing up here wouldn't exist without irrigation. It's quite dry. Tenth generation in the family. Let's see. Spent a lot of time here in California as well. Then they got involved in planting some very important vineyards up in Washington, and they make some really high-end wines. Here is the facility. You can tell they're in it to win it. Beautiful, sizable facility with 3 sizable vineyards. Most of their wines are between 60 and $150. This wine kind of is a blend of other things that they make, a lot of things that they make, Cab, Merlot, Malbec, but with a big swath of Syrah right there in the middle. So very Washington type of blend. And years ago, they decided to make it a non-vintage wine, so they are able to have continuity of distribution. So it's non-vintage, but there is a way to tell what year it is. Well, this even says now 21. So it's the 21st edition of their non-vintage blend, I guess is what they're saying. 90 points, wine enthusiast. $12.95. I swirl this thing around. I got some nice color, dark in the center. Very little advancement on the color spectrum. You know, it's very Cabernet oriented. That Syrah is probably really helping keep that thing pretty dark and deep. Solid spine of fruit popping out of the glass. Some nice Bordelaise character. Also, that Syrah is pretty prevalent in the nose. Look in here and see. Love to get your thoughts. I'll check out the chat box, see what you guys are saying. I think it might be coming off riper than everything else that we've tasted today, but there's nothing, no sweet like residual or anything like that. Yeah, it's just nice, good quality table red. It's definitely telling kind of the story of Washington. Very clean, very wonderful, crunchy fruits. Unlike some of the other wines, you know, there's not some piercing, penetrating amount of stony minerality coming flying through. It's more of a New World experience. Bright, vibrant red fruits. And I think, you know, based on your own personal palate, you can decide what works for you. But our goal tonight was to taste through some really nice values, some things that I think I can recommend to people in these tender price points. Don't have a lot of them in the store at this time. I mean, we are a wine shop that ships wine, and a lot of customers, when they're looking for a $10 bottle of wine, they're just going to go down to their corner store. But I will remind you that in California, we deliver for 20 bucks, up to 12 bottles of wine. And in Los Angeles, as long as the order is over $100, we deliver for free. So we can compete in that regard with some really good values. Our website is in price order unless you come up to the filter and you click on that, then you can change the order. You can look at, you know, stuff that has been just recently added. I like to look at it from new to old, like let's see if the new wines are getting their time up on the page and what are the latest and the newest. So that's a fun way for me to look at it. You can go into a wine shop and look at it by grape varieties, or you can look at it by region. We're trying to put a little bit more time and develop even more access points, because sometimes you want to look at a particular sub-region or maybe a few more grape varieties broken out. So that's what we've been spending our time on. We have over 1,050 different wines on the website, and they're not concentrated in any one particular price point. But uh, gone are the days of the pandemic where everybody was looking for the best deal under $15. If I can get you into the $15 to $30 range, I have a much larger selection of wines in that zone, and that's where I really think we move from kind of wine that's vying for your attention to wines that are actually very spot on with marks of their place and the producers' names, and it really is a different experience in that $15 to $30 range. I do today I had a kind of a large number of one-click boxes, which are fun. If you want to kind of explore some different things and maybe, kind of get outside of your comfort zone a little bit, you could order a value box, or a couple customers today picked these sommelier recommended boxes, and these are a little bit more of a premium, more in that $30 average bottle range. And then even got a luxury box today. That was fun. And I guarantee you, my luxury box, it cost $1,000. We are putting way more than $1,000 worth of wine in that box, because we have some exceptional opportunities to impress people with some of our selections. And I take a good long time. I probably spent 45 minutes today filling 2 boxes of wine. But that was really a fun project. I get involved in it personally. Gets me around the store. I look for fun things to kind of put together. And I'm sending off something that's very personal. So that's what we're doing right now. Merchant of Wine gets a lot of my time. These events I'm now focusing in on. With the future events, we'll be publishing a lot of dinners as well. The Zooms, our Sunday classes at the Four Seasons are still taking place. I want to call attention to my Learn About Wine page for a second. If you've never looked at Learn About Wine, that's how we got here. Going into the pandemic, I had just rented a tasting room in downtown LA to put on my classes and tastings. That didn't work during the pandemic, so we turned it into a wine store. And once you have 1,000 different wines in a place, it's really hard to get them out of there. So we don't have the classroom anymore, but we are teaching all around in different locations, in a growing number of locations, and trying to get the classes rocking again. I've got a Santa Monica location. I'm in Beverly Hills at the Four Seasons. And this Sunday, I'm teaching a program called the Chardonnay Taste Off. And if you like Chardonnay, or even if you don't, just check out the wine list. It's Burgundy versus California. And I've got some really great wines coming together. We sell it out. It's about 21 wines for 20 people. We taste small pours of a lot of different wines at every flight. I'll ask you to see if you pick out which one's Burgundy, which one's California, and you can see which one you like the best. And then you can tell me where you think it's from. It's just fun way to taste. And there's some really important wines on the program. I think the California wine list is a little muscular in that there's some bombers, inside of the California list, from Kistler to Rhône to Whitcraft. And my list of wines from Burgundy, also a couple of bombers, like we're going to have the Puigny Montrachet from Le Fleuve. We're going to drink some really good Chablis, Fèvre, William Fèvre. We have Leroux, Jaumont, Piot, Ferret. So it's going to be fun. And we do it with the Beverly Hills Cheese Store cheese plate at the event. So if you like, or think you like some Chardonnay, it's a great way to spend a summer Sunday. It's from 3:30 to 5:30. And that's what we'll be doing this Sunday. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks for your comments. Ray Marie, thank you very much too, always. Thank you all. You have a good one and take care.
Thanks so much, Ian.
Thank you.
See you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Pleasure.